Hello, everyone. In this podcast, I'm going to be going over the coffee mug for the outdoor cafe scene. I'm going to start in my front view where I already have my image imported in. This image and others are in the reference folder for this project. Going to create, I'm going to select my CV curve, and I'm going to start by snapping that in the center of the grid. Following along the bottom of the cup, I'm going to start tracing out the shape and form of the mug. I'm placing CV points where the mug starts to round. Oh, I'll delete to go back. These can be adjusted after the curve has already been made. It could even be adjusted once your geometry has been created. If you don't feel happy with the shape, it's not set in stone as you're making it with the curve right now. Right here I'm getting to the top and it starts to round, so I want to keep my CV curves a little closer to each other. That way they do the shaping I would like them to do. Otherwise they'll get too hard of a rounded shape. Well, I shouldn't say too hard of a rounded shape. They'd get as tight as that is. If I were to do this point here and this point there, it would round a little more than I need it to. Okay, so doing the inside of the cup, I'm probably not going to put as many points since the inside of the cup would rarely get seen compared to the outside. Finishing it off, I'm going to do it at the center of the grid. Now I can already see points I'm not very happy with. So right clicking, go into control vertexes. I can go back into my CV curve and start moving the actual vertexes to shape how I want them to a little better. Bring this in, tighten that up a little. And I know from the actual perspective of the image that the cup's not rounded like this. Not at the bottom. So I'm going to bring these up to flatten the bottom. That way when it's revolved, I don't have to worry about flattening it. I'm going to spread these out a little more so all my edges aren't so close together. If it starts getting too tight, it can do pinching or any other shading issues to the geometry that can affect renders later on down the line. There we go. Thicken this up a little. And once again, I can still do adjustments once my geometry's in. Let me get this in perspective. I'm going to hide the grid. Go to Show and Hide Grid. And I feel the shape is looking where I would like it to right now. Once I've revolved it, that'll show me overall how it would look anyways. So I'm going to go to the tabs up here, and I'm going to select Surfaces. Go to the Surface window and the Revolve options. Reset the settings just in case it's not where I want them to be. I'm going to select Polygons, scroll down, I'm going to go to Quads and Control Points. Let's try Revolve. It's a little too boxy for my taste, even when I hit 3. Well, when I hit 3 it rounds, but it loses too much shape. So I'm going to throw in a few more segments. So I'm deleting that geometry, and I'm going to go to the segments option here, and let's put it to 12. Apply. Still a bit boxy in 1. Depending on the project you're working on, that would be okay for low poly projects, but we're trying to get a high res cinematic type look. So even though more than likely this would be seen in a smoothed out or 3, I'm going to put it to 14 segments. That way in 1, it's still round enough to hold its shape. When I hit 3, it doesn't shrink as much as it would if it was in lower segments. Let's see this from the front. Looking pretty good. Okay. Let's see if we really need all of this. I'm double clicking on my edge. Let's close the revolve. Go into the Polygons tab and then the Edit Mesh options. delete vertex edges, and you don't really lose too much of the shape. But I might be able to go about this a different way. So I am going to hold down Control and middle mouse, go to Edge Ring Utilities, and I'm going to select Edge Ring Tool and double click on this ring here. Well, I still have that other edge, so hold down or press Q, hold down Control, and double click that edge to get rid of it. Now I'm going to my Edit Mesh, and I'm going to use this nifty little tool called Collapse. It squishes those two edge loops together and meets in the middle. That way it keeps the shape I want, and I don't have to throw on another edge to try to even out geometry. Okay, now, moving on. What's nice is the CV curve, since I have not deleted history yet, can still be used to adjust the cup if I needed to. So you can shape it if you want still, but I'm happy with my overall shape. I'm going to delete my history. Edit, delete type, history. Now I can delete the CV curve and not worry about it messing with my geometry. Okay, now for a little bit of the cleanup. First, let's make sure this is flat enough. You'd want this cup to be able to balance perfectly on a table, so if it was too rounded, it's going to tip over. So let's grab those verts, and we're going to scale them in a little and bring them up a little bit. It doesn't have to match up perfectly with this image, because this cup isn't rounded on the bottom like that. There we go. Now, with Revolve, it sometimes leaves the verts, or most of the time even, leaves them separate from each other. So what I want to do is grab these verts, and I have the inside of the cup and the bottom of the cup. I'm going to go to Edit Mesh, and I'm going to go to Merge. I'm going to open my options for Merge. That way I can make sure my threshold is high enough to merge all of these verts that are selected in the center together. But I don't want them to merge the actual middle, the bottom and the top. So I have to make sure it's not too high. And I'm going to hit Merge. It should be merged together. Yes, there we go. Now, I want to quad this bottom off. So what I'm going to do, because I did segments that are even, allows me to grab every other edge going around. From here, I'm going to go back to Edit Mesh and delete edge vertexes. Now I have it quadded. I'm going to do the same thing for the inside. And let's try to keep it even, so let's take a look at which ones were selected. So, grabbing those edges, every other. I might have grabbed some on the bottom. Yeah, so I'm going to hold Control and click on those to unselect those. Now I have the ones I want. Go into Edit Mesh, delete edge vertexes. Sweet. So I think I might be able to cut down the geometry in here a little. So I'm going to hold down Control, right click, select the edge, hold down Control, right click, go to Edge Ring, Utilities, select Edge Ring, double click on my Edge Ring, and go to Edit Mesh, Collapse. We can do the same here, and there's actually a faster way. Grabbing that edge, holding Control, right click, Edge Ring Utilities, then you can actually go to Edge Ring and Collapse. And it'll collapse that edge ring for you just fine. Okay, so now our cup is on its way to being finished. What we have to do next is the actual handle. Let's save up so we don't lose what we've been working on.